Hello, and welcome to the Practical Math Money and Management session. Hi, my name is Stephanie, and I'm going to be your host for today's panel. I would like to begin by gratefully acknowledging that Science World is located on the traditional and unceded Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh village site of Sanok. We will start today with a quick introduction from our amazing group of mentors, followed by a hosted discussion. So if you have any questions for the mentor, please feel free to put those in the chat at any time. Our technician today is Vishnavi, who will be monitoring the chat. If you have any technical issues, they would be happy to assist. We ask that you please keep your comments in the chat and question section respectful and relevant to the topics being discussed. So now it is time to meet our mentors. Let's start by going around and doing a brief introduction before we jump into the questions. Mentors, if you could please, I see you.
Here.
Can we get each of you to let us know your name, your job title, and of the thing you love most about your careers?
Hello, my name is Theresa Black Hughes, and my title on my business card says financial advisor. And I'm a financial planner and an investment manager. What do I love most? What I love most, actually, believe it or not, is talking to people. That is the most exciting thing of my job, of talking to people.
And hello, I'm Tara Enever, and I'm also a financial advisor, and Theresa too are associate portfolio managers. So yes, we do financial planning and investment management for clients. What I love most about my job is when we see these goals that people have actually come to fruition. So when they've saved enough to buy their first home, or they've saved enough that they can go on the great trips they want to do every year. So I love that.
And how did you both get started in this career in financial advising?
Well, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead. Theresa, you can go first.
Thank you. I've been in the business for a long time, over 30 years. And so when I started in the business, it really was, I started out as a bank teller, which is not what bank tellers look like anymore these days. Back in the day, actually, even before there were computers in bank branches. So as the entire financial services industry evolved, and we get to the place where, you're actually in front of someone and you're helping them with financial decisions. I think the interesting thing where it all began was I used to type share certificates, and I would meet the people that would come to my desk at this big plastic screen, and they'd bring me their share certificate, and they would tell me why they bought the company that they bought. That was probably the beginning.
Oh, interesting. And that's changed so much now. Everything is digital and online.
It is, absolutely. No more burning those share certificates over next door into the big fiery furnace.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. How about you, Tara? How did you start?
I actually started, it was 25 years ago, and I got started, I'm actually at the same firm that I started in 25 years ago, haven't left, and which is kind of unique these days, a little bit unique. I actually was good friends from high school. Their dad was the founder of our firm. And when I was talking one night, we were all out chatting, just had finished from my degree and then went to BCIT to do some business stuff. And she said, sounds like you'd be a really good fit for my dad's firm. So she passed on a job opportunity, and I started out in admin there, and just sort of learning about the business, doing a lot of filing and stuff. And I was saying earlier to Theresa, always find something good about what you're doing. So you might not love that, well, you don't have paper filing anymore, but might be one thing you don't love about your job, but you know what? I'd spend a bit of extra time filing, and I'd learn all about these clients as I filed, and I learned a lot about their business and how things worked by doing that kind of, taking those jobs that were seemed like a type of menial task and making them really interesting and learning from them. So.
Yeah, this is a great lead into our next question about what is something about your industry that surprised you when you got started? Theresa?
I didn't notice it until years later, but there weren't too many women in the business. A lot of it was very male dominated, and but I had the privilege of working in my career with some great men, And but what surprised me was how much puzzle solving there was, which is something that I take forward today in my day job. But in my early career years, as I was developing knowledge that was, eventually fundamental to my job as a financial planner, it was interesting to me that, there be some project in group benefits or some project in stock transfer or something, and it would be, oh, give it to Teresa, she'll figure it out. And there was a lot of sorting through details to get to the end. So that my surprise was on the outside, I thought everything was tickety boo and very, very orderly. And I think that's important for clients to know that. But behind the scenes, I realize how important the people are with whatever the systems are, and that you have to figure out how they work. And regardless, no matter how sophisticated those systems are, even today, there are times where Tara and I, we have to puzzle our way through to figure out what do we actually need to do with whatever this is for the benefit of our clients.
Interesting. What is there something that surprised you, Tara?
Yeah, when I first got into the business, I thought it was all about, we invested people's money, we made sure that they had the right insurance, so if something happened, they were protected. I didn't realize that actually what we really are counselors for our clients. So we really spend a lot of time just chatting with people, finding out what's on their mind, what are their goals, what are their aspirations, what's going on right now that's concerning them, and helping them take care of all of that. And our discussions don't always just flow around money. Yes, we review all of that, and you know what, Tara, I'm good with that. That's good. And then we start talking about their life and what's going on there and helping them out in many different aspects that way. And so I found that really surprising. It's not just about, taking someone's money and investing it. It's a lot more.
Right. So like communication skills would be a great thing to help you with your careers then, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
And what other skills would be good for that you have found have helped you in your career as financial advisors, along with communication?
I would, we often talk about curiosity, which I think spans many different career paths. It's so important to be curious. So Tara was telling me this story about how when she started and she's doing filing, well, she's reading the stuff in the files. She's curious. Who are these people? What are they all about? In my career path, I did similar types of things. I served on related boards or committees in the business, and I was curious about how do other people work? What are they looking at? And it's very interesting in our job as financial planners how there are many different little pockets of information all over. And it's interesting to me how sometimes you draw them into those conversations. So I would say, I don't know if you call it a skill, but I certainly think it's a very important quality to be curious and to ask questions.
That's great.
Yeah, and I can add to that a part of all that is being a real good listener. So we often, coming into a meeting with clients, have a lot of information to impart to them, but really we need to learn to sit back and listen, because that's really what's important to them. We need to hear what's on their minds and what their concerns are. We might have our agenda, but we really need to sit back and listen. And yes, having good math skills and understanding, how, some more technical stuff. Yes, that's really important. So having that skill, but really you need to be able to take all of that and be able to, yes, be curious, listen, problem solve. So those are some really big skills that we need to have.
Yeah, I love that. And I feel like that's so important for, finding a job that you love, is being really curious and loving that part of that job. So do either of you have any advice that you would give a 12-year-old who is interested in your line of work?
When we chatted about this, and I have granddaughters that are 6 and 9, and I'm sure they only think that grandma just manages money. That's their answer to things. But if I was in giving them advice, and just thinking about any young gal, is really do whatever it is you're doing with excellence. No matter how small or how crummy it is, I have to say, in my career path, one of the best things I got out of it was if I said, okay, whether it's washing the floor because I used to, be in a restaurant retail kind of thing, or if I happen to be filing something, or if I'm sitting in a group meeting and I don't really know what's going on, I'm trying to listen to what it is that's going on. And, I jotted down notes and I discovered that part of, I think, was my gifting was the ability to sort of organize the material for the conversation about what it was that was going on. So through the pathway, my point is that do whatever it is you're doing with excellence. And you don't have to be the best at it, but you do have to be interested and like be in the moment with whatever it is that you're doing and say, this is my task, this is my job right now. How well can I do this job? And people don't notice that you want to run your career, you run your job life without distractions. That's really my motto. People will get distracted if you have some really nasty habits, so leave those behind. And I would just say to them that, be the best person that you can be every day. And sometimes we don't feel like our very best person. Leave that person at home. So just be the best person that you can be every day and try to do your job in the best that you possibly can.
That was great. Thank you, Theresa. Great advice.
Sorry, I can kick in here too.
Oh,
And the
yeah.
other thing, sorry, it's okay. I made a response to the question. To my 12-year-old self, I have a 16-year-old daughter, so I kind of have always told her, look for enjoyment in everything that you do. So always look for, again, enjoyment in what you're doing. So whether it is, at your first job where you might be, for example, my daughter's a hostess at a restaurant. She also has to clean tables and stuff. And I said, well, always look for something that you enjoy while you're doing. There's always something good about it that you're going to really enjoy, and just focus on that positive part. Yeah, you're not going to love what's going on all the time. And, some things that you're going to do is not going to be your favorite thing, but look for those things you love, because that'll help you when you're actually picking your career, is that you'll know those things that you really love to do and those things that maybe you don't like so much, so you can find that right career path where, what, most of what I do here is what I love. And so those things that I don't really love doing aren't so bad, because they're bringing me, I've got so much joy in everything else. So that's what I'd recommend.
Can I just add something, Stephanie?
Mhm.
And I would just say that allow yourself, don't have a preconceived idea about what the outcome is going to be. If you're in the moment and you're doing a good job, the really interesting thing is sometimes whatever that role or that project that you're working on, you will be surprised by what you see at the other end. And you look back and you go, hey, I had no idea we could do that together, or I learned that. And part of that enjoyment is the journey and the experience that you realize when you get to the other side. And that spans like 30 years in the business. And in any career path, it's just enjoying the journey and being surprised at the end.
Yeah, I love that. And I feel like the more you are curious and you find out more about your career, it kind of fine tunes you to which part of that career that you're really interested in, driven by, and like that, it opens up more doors of of what you find enjoyment from.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love that. So is there anything? So actually, let's go to this. Are there people that inspired you or helped you along the way um, towards your career?
Tara, what do you think?
Yeah. Once I got in the career, there were, our firm is wonderful, with a mentoring type programs. And so I really was inspired. And like Theresa said earlier, though, it was all pretty much, I was the only female advisor in our firm when we started in my younger years. So it was, there were a lot of men in the industry, but they were very inspiring. They had really great stories, and they were always willing to help and spend the time to explain things to me and give me more knowledge. So there definitely were some people out there that really inspired me as we went along. So.
I would agree. And I heard it said once that probably in the early years of your career, sometimes you have to seek out a mentor. But you may only, if you look back at your career path after many years, you may only have like 3 or 4 at most as key people that really stood out and were pivotal to you in your job. And I think I remember one person saying to me, "Oh, Teresa, just get over it." And it was something that I was dwelling on. And I realized that, well, that was a good piece of advice. Like, is it really important? Is it going to move the dial forward? Is it helpful to people and those around you? No, well, then don't dwell on it. So move on to the next thing. But there were some amazing people, I think, along the way. And I think my takeaways from some of those most amazing people were that they really cared about what the work was. They tried to stay focused on what was the point of whatever that learning or that exercise was. They didn't try to express or they didn't work in an area that they weren't an expert at, but they were not afraid to ask for help. And they weren't afraid to ask, to engage with other experts, and get their opinion. And they weren't afraid to say, "Can I get your help?" Because saying, "Can I get your help?" is not a sign of weakness. And that gave me the courage to be able to pick up the phone and talk to more people in the business that I'd never met before. And they were able to provide other insights. So I think that "can I help?" and the courage to do that, probably the number one thing.
You have anything to add to that, Tara?
No, like I said, there was, had some great mentors along the way. And well, I think my biggest thing is the more you give, the more you get back. And that was really huge. Something that I did learn from my mentors was, give a lot, and the gifts you receive back are amazing. And it's just so much more. So keep that in mind all the time, even in school now, for the girls here watching. If someone needs some help, give them some help, and it's amazing what you'll see when you get back. So try not to get so focused on your own path and your own agenda. Make time for others.
And I also feel like too, being a mentor as well, is like you learn so much about what you know, and being able to share with your knowledge with other people. It's like you're learning at the same time that you're mentoring as well, which I find really neat. Is there any schooling that was helpful for you with your careers? Did you take schooling before you transitioned into your jobs?
I'm happy to start with that. Yeah. I will tell you, your career path will possibly change many times, and that's okay, or what you want to do. So I started out at UBC in wanting to go into medicine. I did first year sciences and realized that was not my thing. So I then actually transferred over to the PE department, which became human kinetics. I was one of the first graduating class of UBC's human kinetics. And when I was in human kinetics, all of my focus, all the courses I could take in the business school, I took. So then I kind of had thought maybe I would open some kind of something in the fitness world, working with corporate people. And then I realized I didn't have a lot of practical skills after university. This was just my thought. So I went to BCIT and did a 1-year postgraduate diploma in business administration. And from there, I then had a whole bunch of different skills. And that's when I was through a friend, was introduced to the firm I'm at now that her dad started. So many different ideas along the way. And then once at the firm, there is quite a lot of studying still to do. So there's all sorts of courses we have to take to get your designation, to become a certified financial planner. And then also I'm a certified investment manager as well. So there's lots of courses that we do as we were working along the way with experience, and the courses we end up with the designations in our field. And I'll let Theresa carry on about something about the designations and what your prerequisites a bit are for that. So, yeah.
Well, when people think, as I started my career actually I was taking accounting courses. I'd done a little bit of sales work prior to that, and as I took accounting, I thought it was fascinating. We had our son very very young and early in our years, and so I discovered the early years of financial planning with a financial institution that I was working with, and I began to take courses, and that was sort of the spur for me. But the accounting aspect was probably the inspiration there. But along the way, so over the years, taking, Tara and I, have multiple designations, and the designation is not a means to an end, but it is the pathway for learning to gather skills in the art of financial planning, in the technical aspect of managing money, of guiding people in terms of the insurance decisions that they need to make to protect themselves and their families, in the areas of estate planning. When people die, how does that make its way all the way through? And so, as we watch tax changes take place and legal changes take place, I would say to you that those very, very early tidbits, in many ways, are the smaller bits of excellence that we talked about and the curiosity are really the seed planters. Some of the best people in this business have had a previous career. Stephanie, they could be like you. So they bring you bring such an interesting perspective to the business, and you translate it around money management when you're doing financial planning. But I would say to you that you can come to this career path from many different angles. So I don't want to distract that, but it is a growingly sophisticated profession, but it is not exclusive by any means. That you can come to the doorway of this career path with other things in your history, to really make you a really great financial planner and investment advisor.
Mm. So do you feel like you have to be a math genius or a science whiz to get into this job?
God, I would have failed if that was the case. So just
No.
calculators are great tools. I just remind everyone that garbage in, garbage out. So it is important to know what it is that you're putting into any kind of software that you're using to do those mathematical calculations. So you can discern on the other end, yes, that makes sense. That these tools that we use to help us to create the pathways for clients, etc. But no, Tara, what do you think? You're much more mathematically inclined than I
Yeah,
am.
I love math. I love spreadsheets. I love numbers. Um, I love all the accounting stuff too. I do love all that, and so it makes me love my job even more. But am I dealing with that every day? No, that's not what we're doing every day. So you don't have to be at all a math whiz. But again, like Theresa said, and reason being is that there's so many programs out there. There's software that we use to run all of our financial planning. It runs all the numbers, but again, you have to understand what you're putting in and what's coming out, and that it makes sense, because we all know that technology isn't always right. There can be glitches, things can happen, or maybe something was inputted wrong, the wrong box was ticked, and we have to understand this doesn't make sense. So you do have to have a good concept of numbers and how they work, and how compounding works. So that's investing your money and how it keeps growing, and as it grows again on itself. So you have to understand all of those concepts, but you don't have to be a wizard doing all those detailed calculations. So
That's great to know.
yeah.
Is there something that either of you are excited about to see happen in your industry in the next 5 years?
Hmm.
It's a bit visionary, and I would say to you that there are not enough financial advisors, financial professionals being in the art of financial planning, in our country. And so I am excited about the tremendous opportunity for career path. I think it's very interesting the onus that's being placed by our government on financial literacy, which means that there will be, I think there's more opportunity. People can only talk to a machine for so much. You only put so much data in back to the financial planning software thing. But I would say to you that our industry has a great runway, and that it's really exciting to me when I see tools in our industry that are even more interactive with clients, and it allows them to see live sort of what the picture of their future might look like. And, there's nothing more engaging in that conversation with clients. Go, oh, I can do that. Oh, I can't do that. So it's very interesting to have that interest. So in the next 5 years, I think the evolution of great financial planning tools that help us to do our job and to help people better discover and to, see their dreams come to fruition, that is very, very exciting to me.
Yeah, I completely agree with Theresa. It was, all the technology, the financial technology out there, and the artificial intelligence that's being used, and it's by people that have been in our industry, and they've taken on some people who have been in the tech world, and they're coming up with all these wonderful tools that we can use with clients that you have no idea what's going on. Well, we do know what's going on behind the scenes, but there's so much going on, but they've got this real simple outcome and a few buttons you can press, and you can say, okay, I'm just starting out, just got married, we're planning to, or we've had our first child. What happens if we invest in a registered education savings plan for our child today, this much dollars? What's going to happen when they turn 18? How much is going to be there? Click. Like, it's amazing. Before we'd have to go, okay, I'll get back to it, run a bunch of calculations. Now you can just be sitting, sharing your screen with them, and in the software showing that, how that's happened. How am I going to save for my first home? How much do I need to save to get to that goal for my down payment? Click, it's right there. And so we can then, instead of spending our time going back and forth and going into, software that isn't user friendly, then we can answer the questions right away. So it's really exciting. And then we have more time to chat about what does that mean to you, and how excited they are about these next steps. We're not just trying to, crunch numbers and get back to you. We're just click of a button. It's really amazing. So I'm really excited about that in our industry.
That's really, because we kind of talked about this earlier too, but with the pandemic, of how a lot of that got advanced too and condensed, the push to doing your job digitally, which I think is really, really exciting.
Yeah, before the pandemic, a few of our advisors used what's like Zoom, it's GoToMeetings. And I had no idea really what that was, except that they could talk to a client by video. And I wasn't even close to wanting to touch that. I was just seemed like so hard, how would you get this set up? How would we do this? How are clients going to adopt? Overnight, we were pushed into this, and it's been the best thing ever, because as much as I'm really looking forward to getting back to seeing more clients face to face, because I feel that's really important, it's so great to be able to just quick call with a client now. You know what? They just want 5 minutes, but to be able to do it, to see them on video and be able to, because that's a lot of it. It's like, you don't always hear it in the voice. We see what they're, how they're sitting, what they're feeling, and for them to see us, it just, it's been wonderful for our business in that way. So.
Well, thank you so much, Theresa and Tara. We are almost out of time here. It's been such a pleasure speaking with you both, and thank you so much for sharing your experience. To everyone watching, we would like to thank you all for joining us today, and a huge, again, thank you to our mentors for sharing their time and experience with us. If you could all of our viewers, please return to the main stream in our lobby for our next activity, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Theresa and Tara.
Thanks.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Thanks, Stephanie.